Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Is this 48? Is this the next president of the United States of America? Is this who Trump is passing down the baton to? He just dropped a bomb about Hillary, about the Epstein files, about what Democrats are doing. He says he wants to see arrest. Now, this is the JD Vance we've all been waiting for. This is a huge moment for a lot of people because we've been wanting to see this side of him. He just went on and dropped bomb after bomb after bomb, which makes me think again to that question: who is next after Trump? Trump said that, yeah, he wouldn't mind a ticket between JD Vance and Marco Rubio. I'm thinking JD Vance and Tulsi Gabbard, but I'm definitely thinking JD Vance, man. And you're gonna see exactly why. Get prepared. Make sure to smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody stop what you're doing and watch this. Vice President JD Vance delivered a masterclass and exposed how Democrats rig these elections, while they're now trying to tell you that the Republicans rigged the elections. He calls out the 2020 election having major statistical errors of red states being undercounted and blue states overcounted. Ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to this.
Yeah, so another crazy thing that I had no idea about, but everybody, even Democrats actually admit this, that the census in 2020 had a major statistical error. And what that meant is that you actually undercounted a few states that are Republican, like Florida and Ohio. You overcounted some blue states. And so what I understand, if you actually did the census anew right now, you would have 10 additional Republican seats and 9 fewer Democrat seats. And really what we're living with, Maria, is the consequence of 40 years of institutional control in the Democratic Party. These guys have fought very dirty for a very long time, and they haven't just won elections and enacted laws that we may not agree with. They have tried to rig the game for Democrats and against Republicans. And thankfully, under President Trump's leadership, you finally see some spine. You finally see some backbone in the Republican Party to fight back against these very aggressive Democratic dirty tricks. But the only way for us to do it is to actually go and do the hard work to reset the scales a little bit. What we want to do is redo the census, but importantly, we want to redistrict some of these red states, and we want to make the congressional apportionment fair in this country. Again, you cannot do it unless Republicans actually take some very decisive action in the months to come. We think they will, and we're obviously supporting them every.
And that's what they're doing in Texas. But yet you have Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, saying that this is illegal. He got called out for being a hypocrite. Gavin Newsom is also trying to, I'll show you a video of Gavin Newsom trying to take on J.D. Vance. Again, Gavin Newsom is knowing that J.D. Vance is probably next, and Gavin Newsom thinks that he's next for the Democrats. I'm not sure if that's true, but you hear exactly what J.D. Vance is doing. Hey, there's been errors. There have been things that the Republicans have done that was wrong, but these people have been they've been cheating. They've been doing this for a very long time.
Step of the way.
But do you worry that as Republicans do that, the Democrat blue states are going to do the same thing? And then you'll have redistricting in California, New Jersey, and so on.
You know, Maria, there's just not a whole lot of juice left out of that lemon. The Democrats have already gone as far as they possibly can. Let me give you crazy statistics. So I believe that it's in New Jersey, Illinois, New York, California, and there's one other Democrat state where you take those 5 states, you have a large number of Democrat representatives. But here's the crazy statistic. President Trump won 43% of those 5 states, and Democrats have something like 85% of the representatives out of those states. You cannot gerrymander these far left states anymore. And that's the whole point. We have unilaterally disarmed in the Republican Party. We have said to the Democrats, if you want to rig the game in your favor in blue states, go ahead. We're going to do nothing to fight back against it.
He's calling them out for cheating. The future president is calling them out for over gerrymandering these states that, again, President Trump deserves more seats in. As you know, 40% nationwide votes, 44% nationwide votes, but yet the state of Illinois only has 4? No, it's 3 out of 15 seats are Republican only. He's saying flat out, they've gerrymandered. They've basically stacked up everything against them. It's time for Republicans to fight back.
Fight back against it. That's crazy. It makes it harder for us to pass our agenda. It makes it harder for us to win elections. And most importantly, it gives Democrats this ability to run roughshod over the country without any pushback from the American people. The democratic system in this country is broken because who you vote for doesn't necessarily get reflected in who your representatives are. We're just trying to rebalance the scales and frankly push back against a very unfair system created by the Democrats.
Yeah, unbelievable, says Maria Bartiromo. The solution is redo the census and redistrict. That's what they're doing in Texas, right? He says if you actually did the census anew right now, you would have 10 additional Republican seats and 9 fewer Democrat seats. This is called outsmarting them for what they've done. And Maria asked them, well, don't you think they're going to just do the same thing you're doing in red states? No. He's saying they've already done that to the point they can't gerrymander anymore. Crazy. These are very aggressive Democrat dirty tricks. But this interview gets even better. It gets even better. Boom. JD Vance just echoed what everyone has been saying about Russiagate. We got to see some arrests. He's calling on arrest the future president. This is why I said you must be patient with everything, because Trump and JD Vance are going to be a continuation of 8 years. Trump for 4 again, JD Vance for another 4. Hey, man, here we go.
I absolutely want to see indictments, Maria. Look, of course, you got to have the law follow the facts here. You don't just indict people to indict people. You indict people because they broke the law. But if you look at what Tulsi and Kash Patel have revealed in the last couple of weeks, I don't know how anybody can look at that and say that there wasn't aggressive violations of the law. What they basically did is they defrauded the American people in order to take Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign talking points and turn them into intelligence by defrauding the American people, defrauding the intelligence agencies, lying about what the intel said. They would take something that supported a Hillary Clinton campaign talking point, and they would overemphasize it and exaggerate it. They took anything that actually contradicted that narrative and they buried it deep. And through that, they actually laundered Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign talking points through the American intelligence services. That's a violation of the people's trust. That's a violation of what our intelligence services should be doing. And I absolutely think they broke the law. And you're going to see a lot of people get indicted for that. Here's the thing that should really bother the American people. What do you want our intelligence community to be doing? I want them to be catching bad guys. I want them to be making sure that terrorists aren't going to kill innocent American civilians. I don't want them laundering Hillary Clinton's campaign talking points into the American media and giving them this air of legitimacy. It is sick and it's disgusting. It hurt the intelligence community, it hurt the American people, and it hurt the first Trump administration. We've got to have consequences for it, or we're just going to see the same play repeated again and after again.
Wow. JD Vance says that there will be indictments. People will be arrested and held accountable. Again, this is all a part of the next 3.5 to 4 years after that. Is this going to be the guy, the way he is saying this? Hey, we got the information. We got all of it. We got them. We caught them. We know exactly what they've been involved in. And we know exactly what the gerrymandering. Again, some of the 2 biggest topics right now are the gerrymandering that the Democrats are freaking out about, that they've gone to different states like California, New York, and Illinois that have gerrymandered Republicans out of offices and out of seats in Congress. So he's called them out, saying that we need to do that. So he's on board on that. And then now he's calling for the arrest and for people to be held accountable. Who do you think should be the next president? Should it be JD Vance? Will he follow through with this? How has he been doing as a vice president compared to Mike Pence is the question. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because apparently who he's going to be up against, it's going to be, a lot of people are saying Gavin Newsom, that he's going to run. So Gavin Newsom responds with threats. He says Texas, Florida, Ohio, Missouri, Indiana, red states are lining up to bend the knee to Trump and rig elections ahead of 2026 midterms. Again, he's saying this without holding themselves from gerrymandering. They've been gerrymandering the whole time. Now watch what he says. And he says we have to fight fire with fire. What does that mean?
So when you look at the big ugly bill that has passed by one vote, you know how important the voices of that community are. Yeah. And so, yes, it is shameful that being at 60 years of the Civil Rights Act signed by President Johnson from Texas, that we now face discrimination by Governor Abbott, bending the knee to Trump and wanting to steal 5 seats before the next election cycle. And so that's what we know is on the line, not just for Texas. This sweeps across the nation.
And that's a point now a number of you have made. This is not, again, just about Texas. And we're already reading about, we saw yesterday, J.D. Vance himself, the Vice President of the United States, made his way to Indiana to try to convince the folks there to do the same. We've already.
Oh, he's scared. Look at the way he's talking about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance has them scared. The rebalancing is happening, and Gavin Newsom knows exactly who he's up against in 2028. I think we're ahead of our time in this video. Look at the way he's mad about, again, J.D. Vance convincing these red states to do the same thing that the blue states have done to rebalance everything.
Heard the Speaker of the House and the governor of Florida talk about their efforts or their desire to do their efforts. We know Ohio is already moving in this direction, Missouri, other states that likely will follow suit. So to your point, this is about rigging the election before a vote is cast before 2026.
So again, 2026, man, seems like the year of retribution. Just like 2024 was, and now 2025, everything comes out in 2025, and then 2026 means retribution. That's what it seems like with J.D. Vance, if we're reading the room right. I want to leave you with this video about gerrymandering, about NBC, about J.B. Pritzker, and about the runaway Democrats that proves the point that J.D. Vance was making throughout this video. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to smash the like button. Enjoy this clip. This is a big one.
Every major group that grades the fairness of congressional maps gives your state an F. Common Cause, a nonpartisan government watchdog, even says your map, and I'm going to quote, represents a nearly perfect model for everything that can go wrong with redistricting. And I guess the question is, you talk about preserving democracy. How do you preserve democracy if you're using the same tactics that you've criticized Texas Republicans for?
But as I say, what they're talking about is a distraction.
No, it's not a distraction. He's just trying to distract people from the Democrats' rank hypocrisy. But let's let him continue.
The reality is that the violation of people's voting rights is what Texas is attempting to do. That's what's wrong with their efforts right now. And the fact that the President of the United States knows it and nevertheless is asking them to do it. That is what's wrong with what we're seeing right now. Democracy is at.
Just remember this. When you hear democracy is at stake or democracy's on the ballot or a threat to our democracy, just replace the word democracy with political power. Our political power is at stake. This is a threat to our political power. He wants to talk about democracy being at stake. Listen to this. In Illinois, about 43.5% of people voted for Donald Trump. About 54.4% of people voted for Kamala Harris. There are 17 seats available for the House of Representatives in this state. 14 out of 17 of those seats went to Democrats. That is 82.4% of the seats went in favor of Democrats. 17.6% of the seats went to Republicans. 43% of the people voted for Trump, and only 17% of the House of Representatives represent them. Let's look at the districts. These here are the districts. Now, do you see that little pinky looking blue district that comes across the middle of all that red? Does that look natural to you? No. They specifically created that district in order to get another seat. They're not worried about democracy. They're worried about winning. It's that simple. They hide their simple goal of winning behind virtue signaling and morality and voters being disenfranchised. And they regularly and purposely disenfranchise their own voters in order to get more federal power. They're hypocrites. And they don't like that Texas is starting to play the game that they've been playing. And California is almost just as bad as Illinois. I talked about that and I compared California and Texas in the video before this. So if you're curious about that, you can go check that out. But do not let them lie to you. They're not worried about democracy. They're worried about winning. Also, we're one of the fastest growing pages on Substack right now. Quite literally #1 rising in culture. This is the email newsletter that I've been talking about. It's a great place to get more in-depth information from me, and it's one of the only places I cannot be censored, so I don't have to worry about an algorithm controlling what I can and can't say. The link to this is in my profile. Just go to my profile, click the link. You'll see this screen here. Drop your email and hit subscribe, and you'll be good to go. That's all I got for now. We'll see you in the next one.